Seduction isn't a performance, it's a whisper in the noise. What if I told you that real seduction has nothing to do with grand gestures, flashy confidence, or loud declarations of desire? In a world obsessed with external validation and instant gratification, true attraction slips quietly between the cracks, unseen by those who crave attention and misunderstood by those who chase results. A woman who feels desire doesn't shout it. She doesn't put it on display like some neon sign begging for your gaze. No, her interest lives in the shadows, in the subtle lean of her body, the way her eyes hesitate before leaving yours, or how her voice softens when the room gets louder. And most men, they miss it entirely, blinded by ego, numbed by impulse, always performing, never perceiving. Here's where the Stoic man stands apart, not because he plays a different game, but because he refuses to play at all. He does not chase, he observes. He does not act to impress, he acts with intention. The Stoic understands that attraction is not something you win. It's something you align with when you embody strength, calmness, and presence. He sees what others overlook, not because he's clever, but because he's still. In stillness, truth reveals itself. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." The same applies to connection. Most men waste their attention on noise, but the Stoic gives his to the signal. He reads silence like a language, body language like a script, and when he acts, it's never to conquer, it's to connect from a place of calm power. So no, seduction isn't a performance. It's not the pickup line, the flex, or the chase. It's presence. It's restraint. It's knowing who you are so deeply that others are drawn to you without a single word spoken. In a world screaming for attention, the man who listens, truly listens, becomes the loudest presence in the room. The Stoic advantage: power in stillness. In a world where men are taught to act fast, speak louder, and chase harder, the Stoic man moves in silence. He is not slow, he is precise. While others jump at every signal, reacting with neediness or bravado, the Stoic watches. He studies, he waits. Not because he lacks courage, but because he understands something most men never will. Control is not about dominance over others. It's about mastery over self. The modern man is a slave to his impulses. He confuses attention with affection, urgency with connection, and movement with progress. When a woman leans in, touches his arm, or lowers her voice, he takes it as a green light and rushes in blindly, only to find himself lost in assumptions and disappointment. But the Stoic, he sees the same signs and remains unmoved, not because he doesn't care, but because he chooses not to be ruled by fleeting emotion. He understands the difference between reaction and response, between being impulsive and being intentional. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This isn't just philosophy, it's a way of moving through the world. The Stoic man doesn't flinch at a glance, doesn't chase after every touch. He observes the signal, decodes the meaning, and acts only when action is necessary. That composure, that self-possession, it's magnetic. It creates a gravitational pull that no loud pickup line ever could. The truth is, attraction isn't about how much effort you make. It's about how deeply you understand energy, tension, and timing. The Stoic knows that the right moment is always preceded by patience. That's the edge. That's the secret. While others burn themselves out chasing, he builds quiet momentum by standing still. In the dance of seduction, the Stoic does not lead with noise, he leads with presence. And in that presence, he becomes unforgettable. Decoding desire, the 6 silent invitations. Women give, and the Stoic way to respond. Desire doesn't knock on your door wearing a neon sign. It whispers, it tests, it lingers in the quiet moments and subtle gestures that most men are too distracted or too desperate to notice. A woman rarely says, "I want you." What she does instead is far more powerful. She invites you silently into a game of energy, presence, and awareness. But only the man who knows how to see through the noise can hear her speak. Only the Stoic can stand still long enough to notice. There are 6 signs, 6 psychological markers, that often indicate a woman may want to move closer, emotionally or physically. These aren't rules, they're rhythms. And the Stoic man doesn't follow a script. He listens to the melody. The first is her gaze, a prolonged look, the softening of her eyes or pupils that dilate slightly under dim light. These aren't coincidences. These are biological betrayals of her internal state. But where most men rush to act, the Stoic holds eye contact with quiet intensity, not to dominate, but to connect, calmly, without assumption. Second is proximity. She doesn't need to say, "I want to be near you." She'll simply move closer, sit near you when other seats are open, brush against your arm. The Stoic feels this, acknowledges it, but does not lean in impulsively. He allows the moment to breathe. He understands that space is not just physical, it's emotional. Third is touch, fleeting, deliberate, lingering. A hand on the arm, a playful push, an accidental graze. These are all tests. The Stoic does not flinch, nor does he pounce. He accepts the touch with poise and lets her guide the escalation. His restraint is magnetic because it's rare. Fourth is tone. Her voice softens, slows down, drops in volume, inviting you to lean in, to enter her world. This is no accident. It's a subconscious cue for intimacy. The Stoic listens, not just to her words, but to her emotional frequency. He doesn't get lost in it, he grounds it. Fifth is playful defiance. She teases, challenges, mocks gently, not to insult but to test your emotional composure. The insecure man reacts. The Stoic smiles, responds with quiet wit. He does not defend his ego. He reveals his confidence by refusing to be shaken. And sixth, the mirror. She begins mimicking your posture, your words, your rhythm. This is connection at its most instinctive level. And again, the Stoic sees it, not as an ego boost, but as a signal of alignment. He does not exploit it. He honors it. In every one of these signs, the Stoic holds the line. He does not chase, he does not assume. He lets her reveal herself in her own time. Why? Because true power doesn't come from pursuit. It comes from presence, from being so deeply rooted in who you are that desire flows toward you. Not because you demand it, but because you've earned it through calm strength. This is the Stoic advantage. Quiet, steady, unshakable. The science behind the signals. Why the Stoic sees what others miss. Most men believe attraction is a mystery, a chaotic collision of chance and chemistry. But the truth is far more grounded. Desire, like everything else in human behavior, follows patterns. It has roots in biology, chemistry, and psychology. And while the world chases guesses and games, the Stoic man studies the source. He knows that beneath the surface of every lingering glance, every softened voice, and every subtle touch lies a deeper truth, a science of connection. And it's this clarity that gives him the edge. Modern psychology confirms what the ancients intuited. The body speaks before the mouth does. Behavioral scientists have proven that microexpressions, brief facial gestures, reveal emotions faster than any spoken word. Eye contact increases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Touch triggers dopamine and serotonin, the very chemicals responsible for connection and pleasure. Even voice modulation, slower, softer, warmer tones, is biologically engineered to build intimacy. But here's the paradox. While the signals are real, most men miss them. Why? Because they're not looking, or worse, they're looking with ego, not with awareness. They search for confirmation, not communication. They chase signs to serve their own insecurity instead of observing from a place of grounded presence. The Stoic, however, does not fall into this trap. He doesn't rely on instinct alone. He combines perception with principle. He knows that what he sees is not always what it seems, and so he watches patiently without needing to react. As Seneca taught, the greatest obstacle to living is expectancy. The Stoic expects nothing, but he notices everything. While others flinch, rush, or fantasize, he remains still, rooted, present. He doesn't manipulate these psychological truths, nor does he ignore them. He simply lets them unfold. He honors the dance not because he seeks power over it, but because he respects the rhythm of human nature itself. And in that quiet understanding, he becomes the rarest kind of man, both emotionally intelligent and unshakably composed. Self-mastery in the face of desire, the Stoic man's true power. Desire has a way of pulling men off center. One glance, one touch, one soft whisper. And most men crumble. They lose their clarity. Their posture changes. Their voice trembles. They rush to act, to please, to chase what they believe is slipping away. But the Stoic man? He does none of that, because his worth is not up for negotiation. He doesn't need to prove anything. And that, ironically, makes him more powerful than anyone in the room. The Stoic does not resist pleasure, but he refuses to be enslaved by it. When he sees a woman leaning closer, when he feels her hand brush his arm, when her voice lowers to a private frequency meant only for him, he notices, he appreciates, but he does not react impulsively. He responds with presence, with control, with a calm that speaks louder than words ever could. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." In the realm of seduction, bravery is not about making the first move. It's about having the strength to wait, to hold the tension, to observe without assuming, to feel the fire rise within you, and still choose stillness over reaction. Because when you control yourself, you control the moment. This isn't detachment, it's dominance over self. And that's what women feel when they're around a Stoic man. Not neediness, not desperation, but grounded energy. A quiet magnetism that doesn't beg for attention. It commands it. Not because he tries to impress, but because he doesn't need to. Most men believe acting fast proves confidence. But the truth is, restraint reveals depth. It shows you're not swayed by the first sign of interest. That you move on your terms. Not hers, not society's, not your ego's. In a world full of noise, the Stoic man remains the calm center of the storm. And that stillness, that's what draws her in. Not your words, not your tactics, but your unwavering grip on yourself. Become the flame, not the moth. The Stoic path to unshakable attraction. Most men spend their lives chasing attention, chasing approval, chasing women. They mold themselves into what they think others want. Louder, funnier, more agreeable, hoping to be chosen, hoping to be wanted. But the Stoic man doesn't chase, he becomes. He understands that attraction is not a prize you pursue. It is a response you earn by becoming a man of depth, purpose, and unwavering presence. When you chase, you imply that something is missing in you, that her validation is more important than your values, that her interest is worth more than your integrity. But when you build yourself into something greater, when you refine your mind, strengthen your discipline, and commit to your path, you stop seeking attention and start commanding respect. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. That's the essence of attraction, not empty confidence or rehearsed lines, but the quiet certainty of a man who knows who he is. A man who doesn't need to announce his worth because it speaks through his posture, his presence, and his peace. The Stoic man becomes the flame, not the moth. He doesn't flutter toward light, he becomes the light. And in doing so, the right people, women who see, feel, and respect substance, will be drawn to him without a single word spoken. Not because he manipulates, but because he radiates something rare. Self-possession in a world addicted to approval. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be present, committed, grounded in something real. Because when you stop looking for love to complete you and instead become complete in yourself, love finds you, not as a rescue, but as a recognition. So stop chasing, start becoming. Your energy will speak louder than any strategy ever will. Life's quiet power, a Stoic reflection on presence over pursuit. As we grow older, we begin to see through the noise. The loud voices, the flashy promises, the endless chase for validation, they begin to fade in importance. What truly matters isn't how much we've accumulated or how many people approve of us. What matters is how deeply we've lived, how present we are, how calmly we respond to the world when it doesn't go our way. The Stoics taught us that strength doesn't come from controlling others, but from mastering ourselves. In a world obsessed with doing more, being seen, and chasing approval, there is a quiet kind of power in stillness, in choosing not to react to every provocation, in knowing what's within our control and letting go of what isn't. Life will always present us with moments of tension, relationships, desires, disappointments. But the lesson is simple. We don't have to be ruled by any of it. We can observe, reflect, and respond with clarity. That's where peace is found, not in changing the world, but in changing how we meet it. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." At any age, that truth remains. Whether you're 30 or 70, it's never too late to stop chasing and start becoming, to live with intention, to speak with kindness, to carry calm even in chaos. You don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. You've earned your stillness. Now let it guide you.